the end of the three-part series on control, and we started talking about it, about that the more we try to control things, actually, the less we control. A little bit like this morning, right? It was totally beyond my control why I ended up having to, you know, be in Keene today. I was supposed to be in Bedford, and beyond my control that my internet's not, or my email's not working. Right? It's just things happen. But the more we try to control things, we run into physical limits. And then if we're not aware of that, what happens is that in the effort to try to control things, our world gets small, because we're so focused on what we're trying to control that we tend to interact less with life, with the world around us. And I think if we can look at it in a way that where we really, really realistically, right? Like there's only one of us. Okay, so how much can we really control, right? That we try not to control the world around us, rather we control how we interact with the world around us. And if we can look at it that way, if we can look at it from how we control things, is all I can do is control my interaction. Okay, I can't do anything else. And then how I interact with the people and the events and the things around me, it's a much healthier place to be. And so I want to kind of introduce this concept about kind of living in between, right? So how do we live in between, being happy, being satisfied, or comfortable with controlling what I can control, and then thinking about, well, really all I can control is how I interact with things. So it's this kind of like this concept of like living in between. And I'm going to use driving at night as our analogy. So, when we drive at night, we get into our cars, or if we're already driving, right, the lights turn on, or we turn them on, and we don't really think a whole lot of it, right? We just drive, and literally, we can drive from, at night, from one side of the country to the other, right? Like, not that you can do that in a night, but you can drive, hundreds of miles, and only see 100 to 200 feet in front of you at a time, right? And as you're driving, you're in control of what you can see, say the 100 feet. Beyond that, you're really not in control of it. But as we go to maneuver while we're driving, okay, we adjust, and we're able to work our way through things. But what's interesting about it is think about how we drive at night. Now, as adult drivers, we do it almost unconsciously. Like, we don't really think anything of it, but we can only see 100 to 200 feet in front of us at any one time. That's all we can see. And we traverse it, and we don't really think anything of it. And as we go from the known, that 100 feet, right, and as we're driving and we're picking up, another 100 feet at a time, we're regaining control. We're regaining control because we're interacting with what's in front of us. Okay, so we're interacting always with new terrain when we're driving at night, right? Even if it's a road well, right? You're still interacting because you don't know. There could be an animal in the road. It could be, it could be any number of things, right? And so if you think about it in terms like that, that really, our interactions in life are really 100 feet at a time. And all I can control is that I see around me. And then I'm going to work through it. And as I'm working through it, as I'm interacting with whatever the event is, I'm regaining control through my interactions. Okay. And as I'm interacting with the events and people, right? And I'm aware of what I'm doing, I'm constantly regaining control, kind of no differently than driving at night, where, every 100 feet, I'm getting a new picture, and I'm reacting and interacting, right, with that new picture. And so I kind of like that driving at night analogy, because there's a couple things about it. It's pretty commonly used, for these types of discussions. But when you think about it, like you think about how we manage change, like when you're driving at night, right, where you can only see 100 feet in front of you, and your sight picture is always changing, okay? Because you're only getting a snapshot at 100 feet at a time, right? And you're just going and you're going and you're going, and yet we're managing change that whole time. We think nothing of it as adult drivers, okay, right? We don't think anything of it. We drive at night, it's no big deal. Um, and yet, really, most of the time while we're driving at night, we have no idea what's in front of us. And so when we talk about control and kind of personal change management, I think the driving at night analogy is really I think it's really helpful. And so think about healthy boundaries around control, and it's the space in between what your headlights can illuminate and your ability to interact with what lies beyond what you can see. Okay, like like you know that beyond your headlights, you're eventually gonna see what's there, but you got to get there first, right? And that's a little bit like what control is, right? We want to make sure that we're not making our world smaller than it has to be, or making our options smaller than they have to be, because we're limiting how we're interacting with life, because we're so concerned about what we're controlling around us. So um, I hope that's helpful. I really enjoyed putting this together because I think the driving at night and the whole headlight analogy and all that, I think is something we can all relate to. So let me see, any comments, or anybody want to share anything? We got one chat. Yeah, Allie, excellent analogy. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, what I think is so fascinating about the driving at night thing is that all of us adult drivers do it and we don't think anything of it. We think nothing of it, but yet everything in front of us is an unknown, right? So so if we can do that going at 40, 50, 60, 70 miles an hour, you know then we can pretty much do anything. So super for Michelle. Yeah, when you lose control for a moment, you always have the option to regain it. Yeah, Lucian, go with the flow. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And going with the flow is really good because what you're really talking about is, when you're going with the flow, is interacting with whatever's coming up next. Okay. And then that's really what you're doing. So yeah, great. It was really good to hear from everybody this morning. So all right. Well, that's it for today. That's a wrap. Thanks for participating. And it was great being with everybody. And we will see you next Monday. Take care. Have a wonderful week.